Hello and welcome to In the Treehouse. I am Coach Connor here in North Georgia with another great business owner. Going to have a good conversation with my buddy Mitch Burger today. Happy to have him with me. Before we do that, just a couple housekeeping things that we do. One is I want to shout out to my company, Action Coach, that is sponsoring this. Action Coach works with business owners. We provide the recipe that you need to build your business. You do what you do very well, but we are the ones who are on the sidelines like a coach and helping you to grow your business. And we'll probably talk a little bit about that today because Mitch is one of my heroes and they're just killing it in his business. So if you are ready to take your business to the next level, get in touch with me and I would be happy to have a conversation with you. Our other sponsor is Fist Bump. Fist Bump is that organization that takes your reputation and helps you to make revenue off of it, right? You know what you do and you do it very well. They help you to actually become the expert out there in the world so that people come to you and say, hey, aren't you so-and-so? And get your reputation out there. And so if you are looking to up your presence and have people like recognize you and become that knowledge expert, you need to talk to Fist Bump. So,
very good.
All that being said, now let's have some fun.
Let's do it.
All right.
Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Mitch and I have been working together for quite a while, golfing every once in a while.
That's right.
Cooking a little bit.
Mhm.
We had Helmet on a few weeks ago, and Mitch
Great
was
guy.
here.
Great
And was here when we cooked with Helmet and a lot of things. So
my wife was the star of that night.
oh,
Apparently.
she got to be sous chef for Helmet that night.
That's
I
right.
think she had fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to plan another one of those here before long. So it'll be
We
fun.
should.
But Mitch is with Fake Grass Pros,
I am.
which if you look way back to episode 1, your business partner was with us, Brett.
Brett.
I had a great conversation with him. He kicked off the In the Treehouse podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Now we finally get a chance to talk to the other half of Fake Grass.
Here I am.
Excited about that. But before we dig into all that, when you were 8, 10, 12 years old, what was your treehouse and what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, my treehouse would have been being a professional baseball player because I grew up in a family very competitive, still are.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed in that aspect, but I wanted to be a baseball player.
Okay.
And I lived and breathed that sport. I was in the backyard. My parents had they had a wall back there, and I would just go out there with a ball, either it wasn't a racket ball. What's the one that they play indoors?
Wiffle ball?
Not a wiffle ball. Well, I did have those, but it's the one they play in the little square
Handball or
place. It's a little
like,
blue thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, had one of those, and I would just bounce it off that wall.
Isn't that racquetball?
Is it racquetball? Probably racquetball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You would know better than I do. I don't know that sport, but had one of those, and I just played it. I had wiffle balls where I would pretend hitting home runs. I would make my own lineups, all this, that, and the other. And I just loved that game so much. I wanted to be a professional baseball player.
Okay. Yeah.
And
where was this? Where'd you live at the time?
I was born in Atlanta, and I was raised in Douglasville, Georgia, which is about 30 minutes west of Atlanta, 30 minutes from the Alabama line. So, got the best of both worlds, city and country. But that's where that was.
Confused whether you wanted to be a UGA fan or an Alabama fan.
No, I was never confused about that. So I grew up a Georgia Tech fan. Believe it or not. I was a Tech fan. My aunt was a Tech fan. Of course, her husband was too. And I just always loved them so much. And they got me into being a Georgia Tech fan and watched them throughout all the years and all the disappointment and all the losses and stuff like that. But, they're not a football school, right? They're an academic school. But, and believe it or not, now my wife is a UGA alumni, so I have to pull for the dogs. So go dogs, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Tech has a decent baseball team.
They have a fantastic baseball program. A lot of good players have come from it. And actually, that was part of my dream house, was playing there.
Yeah.
Didn't get the opportunity, but hey, all good.
So how long did you play? You played through high school?
I played through college, technically, JUCO.
Okay.
Went to Georgia Highlands College up in Cartersville. and played 2 years there. Had the opportunity to go to Young Harris. Last second, I decided not to. Life took me a different route for other lessons learned. And yeah.
Oh, come on. You went there. Lessons learned.
I got married.
Ah,
I got married just super young.
yeah.
Didn't work out in the end. So went back to after that marriage was done, I went back to school for a little bit.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit, of course.
Yeah.
And I was the type of person that just can't read
Yeah.
or do stuff online. I
Yeah.
wasn't that willpowered back then. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? And then life took me and started doing business stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, a lot of us had those young marriages. I had one.
Yeah.
And it's a lesson learned.
It is a lesson learned.
It's a hard lesson learned sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
you look back and you're like, okay, got that. And I can't thank God enough for where I am today. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the whole nature of the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because even your baseball as a young age, you're not playing baseball now, although you're coaching.
I am
we can
coaching.
talk about that.
Yeah.
But the whole discipline and competitive nature that was there is part of what you are today as well.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah.
And we've talked about how, God gives you dreams, God gives you visions. I think as a young child, we have dreams and visions of what we want to be, and they just get played out in these fantasies, like being a pirate or a baseball player or a football player or an outdoorsman or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that's how in a child mind we can kind of put together what God wants us to be, right? But as we evolve and as it matures, it transforms into other things.
Correct.
And to where we are now.
Yeah.
So, that's part of the nature of this show is going from being in the treehouse to where you are now.
Which I didn't realize who your inspiration was for this treehouse. I didn't realize that until you actually told me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah.
Apparently it was me.
Yes.
I didn't. It was something I said in passing, slightly serious, but just, I guess, trying to get the imagination ball rolling for you or give you an idea of something. And it was when we did the cooking here at your house and you had everybody over. I saw your treehouse out here and I think you were talking about the podcast at the time about what it would be. And I'm like, just do it in the treehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what sparked this whole thing.
And just, what people's treehouse was.
That's right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until you told me 2 months ago, 3
Yeah.
months ago, something like that.
So this is the guy who is my inspiration and a lot of impetus. So thank you. And it's a lot of fun.
You're welcome. I didn't do anything, but you're welcome.
But it is truly a thing of, going through life and experiencing it.
Yes.
So so you went to college, got married, wrong marriage, kind of like you struck out at the bottom of the ninth and lost a major game, probably gut wrench, but you pick yourself up.
You pick it up and you go, you do the next thing. And God gave me the opportunity to go work with another one of your clients, Michael Lynch, which is actually how we met. Mutual friends, and worked with him for a couple years and tried to help as much as I could with his business until it was time for me to go do something else. And that's when my business partner Brett presented this, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
Yeah. And at Michael's, really cut your teeth in doing some sales. And really some project management.
Management, trying to lead his crews as best as I could. I learned a lot while at L Squared.
Yeah.
Some positive, some negative. You take what you get, but there's still lessons learned, and there's still opportunities to make yourself better for the next thing, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I'm big on that. I love not so much messing up. I don't like failure, but I have a healthy relationship with failure because you're like, oh, got it. That's my lesson here. We don't repeat it. We make it better for the next time.
Yeah.
And that's what I really took from that.
Yeah. And it's only a failure if you don't take a lesson from it.
Correct.
If you learn from it, it's like, okay, adapt and make things different,
Yes,
then it's actually a learning opportunity.
exactly. You don't want to get stuck. You don't want to stay stagnant or complacent or any of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
What was, if you could sum up good or bad, what was one thing you took away from that experience?
L squared.
Yeah.
First and foremost, that people are everything. You
Yeah.
can't do business unless you have people, whether it's outside the business or inside the business.
Yeah.
I always made it a priority of mine, especially when I was project manager and when I was crew leader, guys on my crew, that the guys came first,
Yeah.
right? How they were feeling. I needed to know what they were doing on a personal level so that I knew where their mind was at. They could be in my head, I could be looking at them and they're dogging it that day, but I don't know what's going on in the
Yeah.
back of their mind, what they're dealing with. So I always made that a priority to make sure that I took care of them first, right? It was always the people first, because without the people, you don't really have a business.
Yeah.
And so that was probably the biggest thing that I took away
Yeah.
from that.
And Michael's team is just absolutely phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
You
and
know,
they're flourishing.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're doing great.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see what it was, when we first started and to now where he's taking it. It's great.
Yeah.
And his project manager now, I trained him. So
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I know I keep saying we're going to get Michael on someday.
Yeah, you need to.
He's-
Michael, if you're watching, come on now.
Yeah. Get out here.
Yeah. It's not
But-
that far of a drive for him.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. Except he's in California this week.
Okay, a little far of a drive there.
So you left Elsewhere, and Brett came to you
Mhm.
and said, "I have this absolutely brilliant way that we can make $1 million this year." Right?
He did.
Yeah.
In some form. shape,
In,
right?
in some form, or
Yeah.
other. Yeah. So what is this that you do now?
We are fake grass pros, synthetic turf company doing commercial and residential, any projects from playgrounds, parks, amphitheater lawns, event lawns, agility spaces, anything you want turf,
Yeah,
we can do it.
you do it. Yeah.
Backyards, putting greens,
Yeah.
Even commercial putting greens. We've done one of those, and we're actually going to do another one down in Florida here pretty soon. Phenomenal stuff.
Yeah. Which reminds me, after the podcast, I was out golfing last week,
Mm-hmm.
and this particular course on their driving range, their turf was completely beat up.
Oh, yeah.
You need to go by and talk to them.
I will happily do that.
So we'll talk about that
Team forward.
offline here. But so as you're talking about that, it just makes me think, going back to your treehouse and playing baseball, how you get to sometimes put together baseball fields and get to play and all that
Batting
stuff of being
cages.
outside, batting cages, all that stuff that you were as a kid.
Right.
You may not be playing the game, but you're still very involved in it.
Yeah. And truthfully, I got away from it for a while because, I didn't end it on a positive experience, when I was at JUCO. But once I got back into it, especially now coaching, it's just been, it's been phenomenal. And it's revamped the kid energy in me of like, hey, this is fun. This is, all that stuff.
It is.
It is.
It is. Yeah. And you're doing some great things. I like, so before we get into some of the learnings you've had over the last couple of years, because it's coming up on 2 years you guys have been in business.
In January. So almost a year and a half now.
Yeah. It's gone quickly.
It has.
And we've worked together since day one.
We have.
Which is absolutely
Thank
phenomenal.
God for that. We'd probably be lost sheep if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. But in the past year and a half, you've done some pretty cool things.
Mhm.
You've had an opportunity to, to touch some things that people may actually be walking on,
Yes.
and not even be aware that you did.
Mhm.
And I think that's pretty cool that within 18 months, you've gotten some fairly high profile things. What are some of the things you've done?
Some of the big ones we have done, fake grass pros we did, Florida State University's front fountain area.
Yep.
Got the turf around that. So anytime you go to Florida State, you see that main fountain, fake grass pros did that.
Yeah.
Bristol Motor Speedways. We've done a couple areas up there for some of their RV parking, and even their main front office there. They've got a little area that we did the synthetic turf on. That was pretty cool, and did a awesome job up in Indiana, YMCA job, which come to find out, I walked out onto this site once we finally got there, and I looked around. I'm like, that's a tee box. That's a tee box. That's a green over there. And it was an old golf course that they had turned into a YMCA. And we got to do a little amphitheater-esque like seating for them because they were going to do a big screen over here. So got to do some of that. What are some of the other cool ones? I know we've got more, but those are just the top ones that come to mind, you know? Bristol Motor Speedways was really cool. Getting to meet all those guys and whatnot. That was awesome.
It is cool. So, and like we said, you do big jobs, but you also will do small jobs and residential residential and all that. So I want to talk about how you and Brett have really become a couple of my heroes.
Was that so?
Yes.
Okay.
You didn't realize that.
No.
Aside from giving the inspiration for In the Treehouse. No, they're, over the last 18 months, I mean, you started with zero revenue, right? And we don't have to get into what you're doing right now, but needless to say, it's not zero anymore.
It is not zero anymore. No, it's leaps and bounds phenomenal of what we're doing, I think.
Yeah. So what would you say as you are growing, what has been the one big aha moment over the past year and a half in starting a business? Because there are people out there who are toying with the idea of starting a business, and they come in with rose-colored glasses and everything is going to be perfect because I have the absolute best idea in the world.
Right.
Everybody's going to want my product. And then 6 months in, nothing.
Yeah. Biggest aha moment. I don't know if it was so much of an aha moment as more of a, hey, get over yourself and get up and go do it. But it was like, no one's coming, right? You got to get out and you got to make it happen for yourself.
Yeah.
I guess that would be a big aha moment for me. I'm like, okay, well, we've got this relationship. They're going to send me leads, or, we've got this individual, we'll hopefully do some business there. But, it's again, going back to the complacency of like, it's not guaranteed. So you just got to keep moving, right? You got to keep moving. You got to keep going. I think that would be my biggest aha moment, is just like, no one's going to do it for you.
No,
you got to get out and you got to do it.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of business owners, they fall into this trap that they think they can advertise through social media.
Right.
And,
which you can,
but you can't expect to start your business with social media.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
That's actually one area I know nothing about. I'm not on social media. Yes, I have a LinkedIn. The profile is not that great, but I'm still on there. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram. I mean, Fake Grass Pros has a page, right? But me personally, I didn't. So that realm of marketing or advertising, whatever you want to call it, I'm not familiar with. I don't have any part of.
Yeah.
So it's been literally me going to networking groups, going out there and, being face to face, which is where I prefer anyways. Right.
Yeah.
I want to get in front of the person. I want to shake their hand and talk to them and that sort of thing. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing is business owners, especially as they start, they have to be selling.
Yes.
Right. You cannot expect somebody else to sell for you.
No.
You have to be the face of the company. You have to be the one who's going out, knocking doors, pressing the flesh, doing all of that, or you will not be in business long. And if I can say, probably for 6 months, you guys thought you could sit back.
Oh, 100%.
And, we finally kicked you enough to where it's like, okay.
The right way.
The right way. Yeah. But so you started doing it.
Yeah.
And once you start doing it,
all these avenues started happening. Everything started falling into place. We're doing something, or our numbers this year are better, obviously, than last. Again, can always improve any which way you can, but it's so, I guess, more satisfying would be
Yeah.
the word
Yeah.
to see that and the work you put into it, how it pays
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and you know, you're looking at this year being a pretty significant year and hitting
Yes.
a financial milestone that many businesses don't hit,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is pretty cool in year two.
Yes.
So
We're trying to. Well,
congratulations.
thank
That's,
you.
you know, I mean, that's a hero stuff,
Thank you. Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hero.
You know, I mean, it truly is. You
Hmm.
know, you get in and you do the work. So that's awesome. What's something that as you've been doing it, um, what's something that you would say, gosh, that was stupid for me to have done? And if you're starting a business, don't do that.
Lack of
What's been a
planning.
point? Huh?
Lack of planning.
Yeah.
If you don't plan it out, anything. I
Yeah.
mean, a conversation of, obviously a project that you're doing. If you're not prepared, or you try and scramble at the last minute to be prepared,
Yeah.
it's not going to go like you think it will. You
Yeah.
may flunk out, but you may fail.
Yeah.
And hopefully you take that as a lesson, but to prepare for the next time. But yeah, if you don't prepare and get yourself ready for it, then yeah, 100% that.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge. The one that, as you were saying that, I thought of as well was early on. You guys were looking to buy a lot of equipment. You remember that?
Oh, I was not. I was like, yes,
Oh.
yes, this would be nice. Yes, this would be nice. My biggest thing was getting a trailer. We needed
Yeah.
a trailer.
Uh,
That's really all we needed. You can rent and get everything else. And we just also, I don't know if Brett mentioned this to you, but we did buy our first truck
yes.
last week.
Yeah.
So
we were talking about that.
that is very exciting, getting that delivered. But yeah,
A big truck.
it was a big truck, 3,500. Yeah. So we stopped using mine finally, right? So, but no, that, yeah, we try to come out swinging, and then it's like, hold on a second,
Yeah.
right? Is this necessary right now? Do we need all this overhead cost? Do we have the jobs lined up to justify this? All that goes into play, and it's like, okay, not yet. Eventually, but not yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's where, again, some business owners may get in over their head early on.
Yep.
Because they see, oh, I need this and I need that and I need this other thing.
And they just go get
and
it.
they go and get it and they rack up a lot of debt. They have a lot of capital, but they don't have the work to support it.
Correct.
And then,
or they may have the work to support it, but it still doesn't make sense in the moment. You may think right off the bat, like, oh yeah, we need this, but it's like, really sit down and think this through. Like, don't get so crazy with the day-to-day making decisions, this, that, and the other. Sit down and actually think it through, and make sure you do need it. Make sure you can cover this cost, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Which leads me into the other thing I think you guys do awesome. And Brett does this a lot because I know this is his strong suit, but you guys have very strong KPIs that you follow.
Oh, Brett, all to Brett for that, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not. I know that's not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
It certainly is his.
Yeah.
He may disagree and say, no, it's just something I have to do, but he does it extremely well.
He does.
Right.
He
and
does.
He's on it 24/7. Make sure everything is where it needs to be. And I applaud him for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, that's one of the beauties of us working together since day one, because it's been like, okay, from day one, you need to start tracking your numbers. Everything from how many leads do you get, how many are you converting, what's your average sale, what's your profit margin, all of that from right off the top, right? And that has just become a system that you guys are implementing. But there's so many businesses out there that they just start business and don't have any kind of plan or any organization to it.
Or they don't know the nitty-gritty of it, essentially. Like once you break it down in the numbers, you right off the bat, you brought it in and broke down the numbers for us to actually see like where we actually are, what we're actually getting, all this other stuff. In my head, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because like you just don't think until you actually see it, you see the numbers, you don't think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I applaud you for and thank you for, is because right out the gate, we got those numbers and we're like, all right, we know what we need to do.
Yeah. Well, and even as we've refined them a little bit here recently,
We did.
We're digging even more into making sure you have a good profit margin in there.
That's right.
Right? Because the numbers last year, they made you money, but it's not at the profit that we want to.
Correct.
And so now that we're getting more, you actually are able to say, oh, we had a revelation a week ago or so where it's like, we need to be having this much more profit margin in our sales.
Right.
If we really want to get to where we want to go.
Right.
Yeah. So the numbers, you got to live by the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of it is, you know what that number is. So when you put together an estimate, you don't have to feel bad about it.
No.
It may be a bigger number than what you would have done in the past.
Right.
But because you know what's behind that number, you have the confidence to put that number out there.
That's right.
And you haven't had anybody say no to those numbers.
Not yet. I mean, there've been a few, but those are the ones that are like, well, I can go to Home Depot and do this, that. It's like, okay, go for it. But yeah, you're right. Not really.
Yeah. So, the confidence is huge. I want to talk about the other thing we've been talking about where you guys are heroes, and that is where you're going, right? We started today with, where you came from, being a baseball player, but that competitive, being outside, being in the athletic area, enjoying all of it, and you getting to do it, somewhat vicariously. We can talk about your baseball team that's doing great, the travel team. But what are you guys, what are your dreams? What do you want to accomplish?
For me personally, I just want to be a business owner. I want to be, most importantly, I have a servant's heart. So I want to serve other people. I want to help other people in businesses, with business, either locking arms, either financially or, consultant, what have you, coaching. Eventually I want to get into that, but we want Fake Grass Pros. Brett and I want Fake Grass Pros to be its own thing, running its own well-oiled machine essentially, and we start and go do the next thing, right? So we've got business ideas. That's one thing I get in trouble with sometimes is dreaming, right? I dream so much about this business or that business, and you checked me on it before we even had our numbers, and you're like, okay, that's great, but what about this over here? Let's focus on Fake Grass Pros. Let's get that right, and then we can move to the next thing.
Yeah.
So,
And you're how old right now?
28.
Yeah. I mean, you've got so much time to go.
Oh yeah, I'm still in my sponge stage.
Yeah.
That's what I call it, anyways.
Yeah.
I'm still soaking up everything that I can, anything I can get my hands on to read, or conversations to have and listen to people with their experience or that sort of thing. I'm just a sponge, right? So, I'm 28, but I got big dreams and a lot of things to do that I want to do. Because the ultimate goal in life, not my newest treehouse, is to own my own golf course. Whether I'm building it or buying it, I will own my own golf course, and it will be named the Miller. I've already drawn the Miller. My grandfather, surrogate grandfather, he always called me a surrogate grandson, so I called him my grandfather. He was a naval captain, 3-star naval captain, and his name was Hawkins Miller.
Okay.
So my first son's name will be Hawkins, and my golf course will be named the Miller after him.
Okay.
He taught me so much about the game of golf. He's taught me so much about life that I think having a golf course named the Miller, in his honor especially, would just be awesome and exactly what I want to do, because I want to get up every day and I want to go work at the golf course. Because that's what takes up most of my brain space is golf. What's new in golf? What's the newest trend? How can I get better? What are people teaching these days? That sort of thing. It takes up a lot of my brain space aside from the business side of things. And I'm trying to incorporate what how I can incorporate that into my daily life. And
Yeah.
that's the ultimate goal right there, is to own my own golf course.
Cool.
And I'll
Yeah, that is
retire.
new. You haven't mentioned that one before.
Oh, that's been in my head for
Yeah.
5 years.
Okay.
I
So-
don't say it often because that's a couple years down the road, hopefully, or maybe sooner. That's hopefully, but it is far down the road.
So you got to put that in. We have a portal. My
Yeah.
clients all have a portal.
Yes.
And we put our goals out there for
Mhm.
5 years, 3 years, 1 year.
Mhm.
You don't have that in your 5-year goal.
It's not a 5-year goal. It's in my head right now. It's a 10 to 15-year goal.
Okay.
Not saying it can't be done in 5 years,
Well-
but you never know what God's got for tomorrow or even
Yeah.
next year. So
Yeah.
it's like, it very well could be
Yeah.
the 5-year goal.
Well, and if you think 5 years ago, where were you?
At L Squared.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a crew member at L Squared.
Okay. And where are you now?
I'm
A business
a
owner
business owner. Yeah.
and successful business owner.
Yeah.
Right.
Who'd
You've
have thought?
grown, you've come this far in 5 years. Who's to say that can't happen in the next 5?
That's correct.
We've talked about that.
We have.
You know,
The possibilities are endless.
The Gap in the Game.
Yes.
Right. Great book.
Great book.
You know, if you haven't read it, talking about how, measure yourself against how far you've come and realize there is so much more possibility out there.
Right.
We just limit ourselves.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So
Get out of your own way.
yeah. So I expect to see a golf course
All right.
in your 5-year plan.
I can
We
do
may
that.
not hit it, but it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
We know we can always retype it for the next 5 years.
That's right.
That's fine.
That's right. Well, that is cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. And I know we enjoy golfing. It's so much fun.
It is.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of that game. Clearly, right? Like you mentioned when I got here, I'm dressed for the golf course. I always stay ready.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
my clubs in the back seat. I'm
Yeah.
ready to go.
Yeah.
I get a call for a tee time. I'm there, right?
I have a networking thing later tonight, but we could maybe we'll go hit 9 holes this afternoon.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
As long as the rain stays away.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we'll have to see about that. So as you guys are growing,
Mhm.
Fake Grass Pros,
Yes.
and we work in a way of different steps, right? Or 6 steps.
Mhm.
The first is making sure your money and your time and your customer delivery and your vision is clear.
Mhm.
And then the second is cash flow,
Right.
right? And making sure you have good positive cash flow. And you guys are really charging through that, which
Yeah.
is really cool to see, right? The next step is to really leverage and scale, right?
Mhm.
What are ways that you see scaling the business that you have now, and what are we going to be doing, in order to do that next step?
The next step for Brett and myself is currently we're on the lookout for the number 3 guy.
Yeah.
Right. Bring in the number 3 guy on who's, he's going to be a niche guy, right? He's going to be few and far between, but he's going to be like-minded. We want him to bring different ideas to us as well, to help us grow this business, and also take it to the next step as well. That's
Yeah.
one thing Brett and myself are in agreement on, is we're actively looking as to who is going to be that next person. Not saying that we're relying on them to take us to the next step, but that is one thing that we would do to boost us a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, and that is the step to take you to that point of having that commercial profitable enterprise that
Right.
works without you.
Right.
Because if you don't find that person, you're going to keep working.
We're still day to
forever.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, you still have a job.
Right.
And we want to get you to where you don't have a job, you have a business.
That's correct.
So yeah. And yes, that GM or that other third person
Mhm.
is going to be vital for you.
100%. Yeah.
So you have an opportunity to say, what are you looking for? I mean, somebody may actually, hey, I want to come work for
Hey,
these guys.
Yeah. We want them to have sales experience, obviously, but first and foremost, when I say like-minded, Brett and I, we are Fake Grass Pros. We've made it a kingdom-based
Yes.
company,
Yeah.
meaning God is in everything we do, and He is just important as to everyday life, right? But as far as the business goes, we want someone who likes running, essentially running things, right? They're not the dreamer, they're the doers, right? They're the guys, they still go after it, they still get after it, but you put me on the spot here. I'm thinking we wrote it down. I don't have my notes in front of me. I'm a person that writes everything down.
Yeah.
We Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
That's okay.
I'm drawing
That's
a blank.
okay. Yeah. So
We wrote it down, I swear.
Yeah. I know they did because we talked about it.
We did.
And I know it's somebody who really can run the operations of the business, right?
Day to day.
So it's got to be somebody who can both sell but also really run the operations, so that you guys, and particularly you, are a great salesperson. And the more you're focused there, the more revenue will come in. Right. The more you're out and building those networks that we talked about, the more business comes in to support the other. And so when you're having to go out on jobs, you're taking away from that, and you're taking away the revenue
and the opportunity cost and all that good stuff.
And so somebody who has the ability to sell but also run, and yes, nothing to be bashful about, somebody who shares your values.
Right.
It's got to be someone who aligns with your faith values.
Right.
And
well, not just that, but it's also, I guess, one thing that sticks out to me is someone who's not me first.
Yeah.
It's like I said at the beginning, it's all about the people. It's all about who you're leading, who you're able to follow as well. Like, it's all about those people who you can help. So to me, in my mind anyways, I always come second to whoever's in front of me, whoever I'm helping, whoever I'm, in business with. Like,
how can I help you?
How can I help you?
Yeah.
Like Zig Ziglar said, help others get what they want, they'll help you get what you want.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But the first part of that is help others get what they want. And that's my mentality.
Yeah. Which I think also comes to the other thing I think you're doing awesome in an awesome way right now. And that is, you're involved in a networking group.
I am. B&I. Just came from it.
Yeah. In that, how are you helping other people, and what do you see in it come back to you?
So, they always talk about at the beginning, you could come in and you could get, all the money in the world in referrals right out the gate, or it could take you 6 months to a year and a half before stuff seems to fall in place. Well, I'm the one that's 6 months to a year and a half before things are falling into place. That's fine with me. I'm very new to it still, and I'm still trying to learn how I can help others and how I can refer people. But off the bat, I've sent 10 or so referrals to people. Like, things have come up in conversations like, oh, I've got a guy for that. Or, even, this is kind of self-serving, but one of the guys is he owns a brewery, a pub, Voodoo Brewing, down in Roswell. So I went and helped his business there. I took some colleagues of mine, and we had a good time. He's just a phenomenal guy, James Rouse. Go to Voodoo Brewing in Roswell. Terrific atmosphere. So it's been a slow start for me so far, but I'm still always actively looking as to how I can help this person, or how I can help that person, or who can I send. Like, if I'm in a conversation, if they need something, I know who to send from my B&I group, because there's 71 members now, and if the business needed is not there, then that's few and far between, because there's a lot of people there, and they're just amazing.
Well, but it's about building relationships.
It is giver's gain. That's the
and the adage that people use, not just in B&I but across the businesses, people have to know, like, and trust you.
Right.
If they're going to do business with you, they're not going to do business with somebody they don't know.
No.
They're not going to do business with somebody they don't like.
Right.
They want to trust you and know that you're going to take care of them. So.
Right.
Yeah. And you do epitomize that. So congrats.
Thank you.
So it's been 18 months.
Mhm.
We're not finished yet,
No,
but
not even close.
in the last 18 months, as people who are starting businesses and watching the show, um, what would you say to them? You know, that you know you're, they need to be thinking about as they're starting their business.
Don't give up easy. Um, there was, probably in the first 4 months of this business, uh, I asked Brett, I said, are we selling the wrong thing? Are we
Mhm.
doing the wrong thing? Because, we just didn't have the numbers, right?
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it just wasn't adding up. We weren't making money. Uh, I was quick to pull that trigger of just like, we need to find something else. Um, that would be, it's going to be a road. Some people are success overnight. Some people, it can take years. Don't be the person that just gives up at the first sight of failure or tough times,
yeah,
because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring, and you never know where this thing can take you. Because
yeah,
if it wasn't for Fake Grass Pros, I don't think I would have met you. If it wasn't for Fake Grass Pros, I wouldn't be in BNI and met all those people and had those connections. Like, you just, if you're going to own a business, you got to have the grit,
yeah,
right? You got to be able to go after it, and you got to stick with it, and don't let others, especially if it's your,
Mhm.
your belief, your, what's the word I'm looking for
Your
here?
passion.
Your passion. Don't let others influence you
Yeah,
and get you down when you know in your heart this is what you want to do. This is what God's called you to do. That sort of thing.
yeah,
That's stupid. Not stupid. Excuse me. It's a very, very crucial point to
yeah,
not let others influence you.
yeah,
If it's a negative, right?
yeah,
If
yeah.
it's a positive and how they can help, obviously,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Don't hear what I'm not saying, but if it's a negative,
But that negative, that's really based in fear, isn't it?
it's based in fear, and in my what I've turned it into, because I had early exposure to it, right? What I've turned that into is just more motivation,
Yeah,
right? Okay, you don't think I can do it? Well, my competitive nature comes out. I'll prove you wrong.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
when I'm golfing, you can't reach the green. Okay, well, I'll watch this.
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
I
And you
turned
reach
that
the
on.
green,
I'll
and
reach the
I
green.
end up in the stream in front of the green.
I mean, hey, sometimes a layup works, but no, I can turn any conversation into a golf analysis. But anyways, yeah, that'd be my thing: is don't give up easy.
Yeah. Um, so what's scaring you right now? That's a question out of left field, huh?
That is because I'm not the one that I'm not the type of person to sit and think about what scares me. Yes, there's
Yeah.
you got your fears or whatnot, but those are just some obstacles you got to overcome. What scares me?
And part of the reason why I ask is what scares you will present itself as the next challenge that we need to overcome.
Fair. Hmm.
You have to think on that one.
That's going to be a thinker. Yeah. What scares me? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. You can think about it.
And I'm gonna have to because I don't have an answer for you right now.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Never been asked that.
No,
No,
that's yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. We'll bring it up in our next coaching
That's
session.
fine. Yeah, bring it
Yeah.
up. We'll
Yeah.
spend some time thinking on it, and
And develop the plan for
yeah,
overcoming it.
absolutely.
Because we don't need to be gripped by our fears, and you
Mhm.
don't, right? But you're looking at other business opportunities a year ago
Mhm.
was really based out of your fear.
Right.
You know,
I guess.
and I can't. This isn't going to work. I'm afraid. And at that time you were looking at getting married. Since then, you've gotten married,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And so it was. I need a solid job to
Yeah.
before I get married and all this sort of thing,
I need a
right?
career.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, you know, and you've done a lot of cool stuff since then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's part
but
of those other factors. Not to
Yeah.
Again, not to
Maybe the big fear really is around your number three, right?
yeah.
What if we get the wrong person?
Well,
What if what if they come in and they try and take us someplace else? I don't know. I mean, we'll talk about it.
we can correct
Yeah,
course at that point. I'm not one to say that the first person is going to be the right person anyway,
yeah,
right? We
yeah,
know that through trial and error, you get stuff right.
yeah,
Their biggest thing is, having the ability to learn,
yeah,
right? So if they don't have that, they're not going to get hired in the first place. So,
yeah.
uh, biggest fear, I guess, or what I'm scared of. I'm not scared of the unknown. I'm not scared of, not making money. It's just, I was hoping that would,
Yeah.
give you an answer, but I can't
That's
think of it
okay.
right now.
Well, and the last thing I want to end up with is on a high note,
Okay.
right? And that is part of business ownership is to have freedom to do things that we want to do. And my coaching, I have the four values for my coaching, right? And they are, it's a place where you're welcome to share whatever's going on, right? I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to, a place where you're going to get nurtured, a place where we share,
Right.
we have a lot of fun with each other, and a place where we celebrate and celebrate the good things. And you guys have had the opportunity to do some celebration this past year and to really do some cool things. And there is some real beauty about having a business that you get to enjoy life, and you guys are doing that. So
Yes.
what are some things that you do that you guys are celebrating besides playing golf? I know that, but
Come on, man. That's my
yeah,
number one.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, this is a celebration of what we talked about buying our first truck. That's a celebration.
yeah,
Brett and I, see, I'm the type of person that's like, the small things are a celebration, right? So
You
anytime.
did something big in April, dude.
What do we do in April?
Oh my gosh.
You're gonna have to remind me what I do. What we do?
You went someplace where you had never gone before.
Oh, yeah. Went to Europe. That one?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
That's not a celebration.
I'm sorry. That is a celebration. Yes. It was, we actually did kind of a 2-for-1 celebration / honeymoon trip for me and my wife because we did get married in August. Yes. We went to Europe, had a lot of fun. That was the first time ever out of the country.
Yeah.
Never been out of the country before that. I've had my passport since I was like 12, I think. So first time it being stamped and used, all that good stuff. Yeah, that was a really cool experience and definitely a good celebration of that.
Yeah.
Took a cruise, went to Barcelona, Spain, flew in there, and then we took a cruise over to Palma, Majorca, Rome, Italy, all those couple stops in Italy, couple stops in Spain, one stop at Cannes, France. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That was very, very cool.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why we're in business, right? And I know in your goals, one of the things you guys both said, and by the way, you and Brett, and your wives went together.
We
It
did.
was like it was, all of you together. So even
Yes.
though it was honeymoon, it was a joint celebration.
Separate rooms, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Joint celebration, separate rooms. There you go.
Yeah, but you guys want to do a lot more travel,
Oh yeah.
and experience life, which to me says business is not about just growing the business.
Yeah.
It's about being able to do the things that you want in life.
Always.
So
Always.
yeah. So
I love that.
I am so glad that you came and joined me here.
I am too. Thanks for having me. Thanks for not making me do it in the cold like you did, Brett. So
Yeah, well,
don't have a fire, but that's fine.
Yeah.
This has been a blast. I didn't think like I told you before, I'm not usually the one that is the talkie. I like everybody else to talk, and I'm just a sponge soaking it in. So this has been a new experience for me.
Well, it is a real joy to work with you and Brett, and you guys are just absolutely killing it. And I look forward to being on this ride with you for a long time.
You will be. You're right there.
So it's very cool.
We've enjoyed every part of you as well. And I can't stress to people enough. Hey, you got a business coach? Here's a card. Call him right now because he's going to take you to the next level. He'll tell you straight. I love it.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
You bet. Next week, I will have Steve Napier on. You know Steve. He is the executive director of Habitat for Humanity here in North Georgia. Great guy with a passion. Yeah, just an absolute passion to get people into homes.
Yes.
And Habitat, of course, is a great organization, and very excited to be working with them and helping them to grow and do some things. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Tune in, check out Steve next week, learn about what's going on with Habitat and all that. Learn about how he is becoming a greater director and developing great visions for the organizations. Yes.
Absolutely.
Right. Until then, thank you again. Yep. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time here in the tree.